this computer. Boom. We are recording. Let me make sure everything is cool. We just had a little technical difficulties. It is 5:35. We are 5 minutes behind time, but we are still rocking and rolling. Oh, that's the one from yesterday. I'm trying to find the one from today. Give me a minute to find the one from today. And it is called Day 2. I see where we are going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Up Social Network. I have the mad scientist here with the hairstyle of Albert Einstein. She's saying that she's all over the place, and we need to be all over the place right now to have a little bit of fun of what we got going on. We want to go ahead and get started. Yesterday was a great day. We talked about a lot of different things, and as it pertains to fear and what we have going on. And your excitement is making me excited about, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea what we're doing today, but she is over there cheesing. She sent me some text messages earlier today. Hey,
I'm trying to contain the hair.
Hey, you got a lot of it. You see what I'm saying? I got other friends that got a lot of it as well. Big shout out to Catherine Pierce. We was just talking about her hair yesterday. My baby actually has the biggest afro. She would have been the most famous baby in the 70s because she has the biggest afro. But we're talking about fear. Tell the people what it is that you do before we get started. I want to get right into this thing.
Well, welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Sunita Punjabi, ABD, the brain coach. What I do is neurotherapy, and I actually have technology and methods to help retrain the brain and to get the brain to work at its optimum level. So it's such an honor to join you, Nolan, who you have, I think, one of the great brains that I admire to see you work. And so we're doing this together because we want to be able to serve people at a time where we think that they need the kind of material we can get on. So I'm excited about today. Can't wait to tell you what I want to discuss.
All right. Well, for those that are just tuning in, I want to give a big shout out to Up Social Network. We have a large family. I got off yesterday. We had 400 views yesterday after an hour. I don't know where we are right now. This thing I think is going to really pick up steam. And this is a platform that we're using as far as my network is concerned to showcase each person in the platform. Right now, we're doing a 30-day launch. So every day at 5:30, Monday through Friday. For those that are tuning in right now, if this is your first time, welcome. If this is somewhere where you're used to being, then welcome back. Right? It's that type of situation. I'm trying to make sure we're not froze. I feel like we're frozen a little bit as I'm looking at everything. We will be putting this up on YouTube if we're having technical difficulties right now, but I think everything is popping. So we're going to get rocking and rolling. So you have something brand new for us today. Give it to me, lady. Give it to me. Give it to me. What you got?
Nolan, first of all, I wanted to realize that and acknowledge that the reason you and I decided to do this 30 days, 30 minutes was because today we're in a moment-to-moment battle with our brains. We're in a moment-to-moment battle with our thinking. And if we waited and did this like one day a week, it would not be relevant. What people are dealing with is a moment-to-moment. Moment-to-moment things are changing. Moment-to-moment we're having to like rethink our thinking. And so when you first said, when you said 30 days every day, I'm like,
Right.
But now I have to tell you during the day, and I've had an amazing day. And I want to share with you because it really is a testament to what we talked about yesterday. Because I will never tell people to do something that I don't do. Right. So the day was incredible, but and yes, I do have the Albert Einstein. I have no idea what I look like. The beauty salons are not open.
They're not.
So,
They're not.
no, you're getting me raw and real.
So you got 28 more days. You better keep it together. You better keep it together. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I know this thing's got its mind of its own right now. But I have been working today. What a blessing, right?
Right.
To be able to serve despite all the things that are happening. But it is a moment-to-moment battle. So, yesterday we talked about fear. And I had the honor, the privilege to talk to some people today to set up a possible huge effort that we're going to do with different school districts to help young students and parents. But, as I was speaking to them and I was speaking to their administration, I realized that people don't need just counseling.
Right.
Because, I'm trained in that, got that degree and all that stuff. But what we really need, Nolan, is meaning. We need to find cause in this suffering. Let me explain. See, the brain is going to make meaning. You cannot stop it from making meaning. So if we don't engage our frontal lobe and we create the meaning as a design, then the default is the brain's going to create meaning on its own. And that's a scary thing. So I was realizing, as we were spending time, I was thinking about the Holocaust survivors, Nolan, and thank God we're not in that, right? But the fact is, though, that suffering without meaning is what leads us to desperation. Suffering without meaning. So Dr. Viktor Frankl's original work really got us to understand that we are meaning-making machines, number one. And the other thing is, if we don't decide to create meaning, if we don't find a cause in this, then, and be cause-driven as individuals, then what's going to happen, there's a lot of, the brain, first of all, is going to make meaning on its own. The second thing, we will not be organically motivated. Right now, we talked about this yesterday. Where does your motivation for action come from? If your motivation for action is fear and survival, that's what you're going to get. There's no other option, right?
Right.
So who will come? What individuals? What stock market? What product? Like, we're looking at the stock market going up and down. It's the product, the companies that are innovative during this. It's the product and companies that serve beyond what's expected, that will not only survive this, but will be the benchmark. They will be the standard of excellence as we come through this. Mark my words. Now, what does that have to do with us? Like, what does that have to do with the individual? Because how you come through this and who you become in this at the tail end will totally dictate the quality of your life in the future that you can expect to live into. And that's like no kidding. And the good news is that it doesn't mean you can't have a negative thought yesterday or a negative thought today. It just means that when you have that, you're like mindful of it and you get that, okay, that's not going to work for me. That does not align with my values. That doesn't have integrity for me. And you're making conscious frontal lobe decisions. You're making frontal lobe decisions where you are engaged in what you allow yourself to think and where you allow it to go. So it is a moment-to-moment battle. And I'm telling you, Nolan, it was like a ton of bricks. And what's crazy to me is this is what my research is about. Like, my research is about the need for purpose in the workforce and to engage people in life. And what I found today, Nolan, here's the danger. People are disengaging from life, and they cannot. People are going into a hiatus. They're going into a sleep. They're hypnotized.
Right.
And we cannot, Nolan, we cannot, like, I mean it, like, please hear me. This is an opportunity to define ourselves. This is an opportunity to know who we are. This is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. It really is like nothing we've had before. So the default, like, oh, here's the other option. You sit and be a victim of circumstance. And I know some people like, ooh, that's kind of rough, Dr. Punjabi. That's a little direct. That's a little abrupt. I'm talking about the rest of your life. I'm talking about right now, you're being defined. And this is a call to thinking that is not necessarily positive.
Is stinking thinking?
Not only no, because stinking thinking, you could say it's negative thinking. I'm not talking about that, Nolan. What I'm talking about is thinking that is aligned with who you say you are and who you decide you're going to create, the future you want to create. That's it. Like, because it's different for everybody. There's no right or wrong thinking.
Right.
If you want to think small right now and you're thinking survival based, hey, you know what? That's good, right? There's no judgment. That's not at all bad, right? But, and I'm thinking about survival based. I'm thinking about how much money I have reserved. So if the clinic is shut down and I'm not seeing patients, we're still trucking along, right? I'm thinking survival, but that is not where I'm spending my whole day. Where I'm spending, thank God, the majority of my time is what can I do to make this work for me? Where is the lemonade and all these lemons? Because I know there's a God that loves me. And I know that there's an intelligent designer at work. It's mathematically impossible for us to be a random explosion of gases. The math is insufficient to defend that this thumb was an accident. We're not an accident of gases. Right. So if that means there's an intelligent designer, right? You get the math supports an intelligent designer. If there's an intelligent designer, then this suffering is not going to be wasted because it's not logical. Like if you see a father, right, in the stands, and he watches his son playing football, he goes, "That's my boy. Right, look at my boy go," right? And he's like, "Look that," and that's how a creator that loves us. Like it makes no sense. So even if you don't believe in that, as a scientist, what I'm telling you is that it makes no sense. If there is an intelligent designer, if you can consider there's an intelligent designer, that we're not a random explosion of gases because math doesn't support it.
Right.
Right? So that means there's an intelligent, so why create us to have us suffer for nothing? You know, let me just mess around with Nolan Davis.
What? No. So look, so here's the thing. That's exactly why I wanted to do what we're doing right now. Because if you're not focused on what you can do with your life of taking this time and spinning that cocoon to where you literally can become the biggest, most beautiful butterfly, finding the opportunities within the time that we have, because you literally should be back at home confined so you're not out there spreading it, right? So as you take that time, you can build other aspects of your business, have quality time with your family. There's so many different things that you can do on purpose right now that's why I wanted to do this whole thing of a 30-day launch where every day you can have some type of positivity and some train of thought to get you to go toward your purpose and your passion and kind of build from that standpoint.
You know, Nolan, I honestly, when you asked me to do this with you, I was like, who am I? Right? Like, why is Nolan asking me? And it occurred to me today, like, I got it. This is what I've been telling people to do. So I want this to serve as an example too. I'm looking for, why is this happening? And I decided to create my meaning. I chose the meaning that this all has to have, because my office is closed. I don't know, when I'm going to see a patient again. So from that motivation of there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. Do you know the story about the pony, right?
No, tell me the story.
Okay. So there was a behavior modification study. It's, you know, is it true? It's kind of an analogy. So they put a little boy in a room full of toys, right? And he's playing with the toys for a little while, and then about 30 minutes he's bored. Some of them are broken. They put another little boy into a room full of manure, of horse manure.
Okay.
So they're looking at what motivates people, right? Like how does that work? So the boy with the toys eventually gets bored, and he's sitting there like, oh, okay, I gotta get out of here. This because he's in this room. So the kid with that has the manure in there, you know, he's like motivated. He's walking around and he's looking for stuff, and they're like, why are you moving? Why do you care? And he says, with all of the manure in the room, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere.
Right.
Yes. So what, you know, and that's kind of a silly story, but the science behind it and what we know about perspective is true. We're looking for the pony in the room. And if you look for the pony in the room, you're going to look for the pony in the room, right? You're going to find the pony in the room. I promise you, we know this. If you're interested in the research, Biocentrism by Dr. Robert Lorenzo, it's a TED Talk. Dr. Robert Lorenzo is an MD that is freaking changing the world because he pioneered stem cells. I mean, this dude is helping blind people see because he's injecting stem cells into the eye. Amazing. Stem cells, if you don't know about them, are cells that emulate the cells that are around it. So you can put it in your knee and it regrows cartilage. You put it in your eye if you're blind. And what he showed is that we can have blind people see. Amazing. This guy had his first PhD at 14. No kidding. Harvard, has an MD, is very respected, was a cover of Time magazine, and piloted and is rocking the scientific world with the theory of biocentrism. Check it out. Amazing book, right?
Okay.
So what he's saying in biocentrism is he's bringing together quantum physics, biology, psychology, physiology, which is considered the hard science. Physics, the hard science, because psychology could still be considered the soft science. But when you talk about physics, that's the hard stuff, right? Things moving, taking space. Right. So he's bringing all of the sciences together, and the bottom line that he is telling us is that consciousness, the observer, creates reality. That reality, time, day, is all a product of the observer. What? So you have to wait a minute. So you're saying that yesterday, what we measure and space-time is all a product of the observation. So this is life-changing, and it's very relevant right now. It's super relevant right now because reality is being created by our observation. I kid you not. You think, or most people think, it's created by the facts. You think it's created, or most people think it's created by CNN and what's happening. No, sir. You can configure in what different news sources are saying and what different authorities are saying into the consciousness, right? It's a shared consciousness. Nolan and I can both agree. And we talked a little bit yesterday about what is the definition of a fact. Nolan and I can both agree that something is green, and we have agreement, and it becomes a fact based on agreement. That is one of the definitions of fact. So I want you to be really careful about what you agree with to be fact, right? Because then your brain works on it. And then your brain creates conscious observations based on that. And here's the scary thing. We're in a shared consciousness. So if Nolan and I agree it's green, it's green. But if we agree it's not green, and we share the observation, we have an agreement. You know what? It is not green.
So, okay. So let's look at it from a group.
And by the way, this is supported by quantum physics. I'm not just making this stuff up. If you look at what's called a double-blind study, Google it for those of you that are interested.
Right. So,
it's a
okay.
double-slit study. Double-slit study. Sorry.
So with that being said, having the right people around you that believe the same thing is that much more important.
It is. And watch, though, for the think tank, right? Like, remember the think tank, and I think that was Kennedy's administration. Or was it Kennedy? Where the think tank was a dangerous thing, where they got like-minded people together and they made some decisions because they all agreed. Not necessarily healthy. So if you bring people that have a distorted thinking together in a room, we're going to have distorted observations and we're going to make distorted decisions. So when you bring, yes, you should bring like-minded people together, but I want to be careful how you choose your friends and who you still listen to. I still want you to go back to integrity, and integrity always shows up like this. Look at the fruits. Look at the fruits. Are these people delivering reliably on their word? Because we can put 10 people in a room that have distorted thoughts, and guess what? We're going to come up with distorted observations and distorted facts. So it's not just about like-minded people. It's also about using integrity, and these people, are they a person of their word? Are they able to deliver reliably on what they've said in the past? And that's the indicator. Because, you know, are you familiar with the think tank scenario?
I am. I am. So, but it depends. It depends on how you look at it. When you say a dangerous thing, it depends on, I think it depends on the intent, right? What is the intent? If you,
the motivation.
Right. If you intend to serve and to intend to help people, then that's one situation, right? Because now you have to actively listen, take the information, and as we use from a think tank standpoint, if we're all in agreement that this is going to be the best way to help, but we're still figuring out how to help, as opposed to world domination, right? If we all feel like we need to have a world domination situation at hand, now we're trying to outthink everybody else and manipulate the situation for our advantage.
Right. So then that goes back to the values and integrity we talked about yesterday, right?
Right.
So I agree with surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I agree. We talked about finding role models that are right now behaving and displaying results in their life that you want. Very important, because right now we don't know who to mirror. As human beings, we're looking for a model constantly. Well, how should I behave? Right. You know, that more so when we're younger, but even as adults. So I want to surround myself with a Nolan Davis. I want to surround myself with Yadi. I want to surround myself with, I can make a list of people. But they have come through that litmus test. They have come through that door and they've passed the test, right? So there's a filter of who I've allowed myself to listen to. So we don't have, so that's really important right now. Again, conversations we had yesterday, who displays a level of integrity, who emulates the life that you want, the behavior that you want, looking at the fruits and looking at the results in the life that they're living. What we were talking about really, though, is more importantly, is understanding that we need to be cause-driven right now and create meaning. And I want to, whenever you're ready, I'll talk more about that.
I was just about to say, now that we've looked at things from what I call God's eye, right? Seeing the whole earth, knowing that it's round, not just standing at the ocean saying, man, that's a lot of water, but there's a whole back half that you don't see. You can only see it from God's eye, right? So now that we've seen it from God's eye, as we come back down to the planet, how do we interact with this thing that you're talking about right now? What are the steps that we need to do to implement meaning into this hard time. So we now have more of a focus, and we're more grounded and know that we're doing whatever we're doing on purpose.
Right. So what it's really about is creating a purpose that's bigger than our circumstances.
Mm.
And if we, because the minute, and so Nolan, you and I have talked about this all the time, right? So I know that's, how do I make that line smaller without touching it?
Right.
It's a riddle, right? Yeah, you put a bigger line next to it, right? So when you put a bigger line next to it, so what does that mean? When your purpose in this season is bigger than your circumstances, when your purpose, when what you're going to is bigger than what you're going through, you will persevere. You cannot help it.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about perseverance. This is not going to be a sprint. This is a marathon. Am I right?
Exactly.
Okay. So perseverance is going to be the key. And perseverance, again, going back to motivation, it all has to go to what is motivating your action. If you are being motivated by self-serving, survival, small thinking, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, you know what? You're a parent. You got to get bills paid. I get that. What I am requesting is that you be in it, but not of it, right? And whatever resource you go to, whether you're Hindu, Muslim, because I was born, I'm raised in the temples. I have studied Christianity. I've looked at Buddhism. I understand the Muslim faith. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but what I can tell you is any faith you look at, when why you do what you do is bigger than the circumstances.
Right. Bigger than what you're going through. Absolutely.
Exactly. When what you're going to is bigger than what you're going through. The problem is there's no clarity right now on why are we going through this. We do not have a sense of cause. We do not have a sense of purpose. And the human mind is looking for meaning. It's looking for purpose. And if you don't give it and intentionally design the purpose, what will happen is your brain will create one and is not worthy of who we are. Because the brain's default is to create a really small meaning to this.
Right.
And we will get small results. But we are the only creature on God's planet. We are the only creature. No, it's so cool, right? We're the only creature on God's planet that can think about our thinking.
Right.
Now, a dog can have a thought. A dog can actually feel depression. We know that the closest to our brain is actually dolphins, some sea animals. They can think about their thinking at a certain level. But the amount of brain that human beings have dedicated to thinking about our thinking, we're the only creature. We're the only creature on our planet that can think about and hold a thought captive. So you think about, why do we have that ability?
Right.
Because we have the ability so we can change the default. So we are not a reaction to circumstances, and we can create our response. That's really important right now.
Creating our response to what's actually happening out there.
Yes, sir.
On purpose and thinking about it, not going from a knee-jerk reaction, is I think a huge thing right now, because people want to react after they see something on TV. The first thing that they want to do is react, right?
Yes.
So soon as something doesn't go the way that they want it to go, the next thing they do, they want to react. They want to push blame. They want to do all of these things. But what you're saying is that we need to take a moment, think about our thinking and where that's coming from, and then react accordingly.
not only that, what is the meaning that your brain is creating? Because it is doing it.
Right.
We don't realize that. And please, I really want people to understand that's what it does. The brain is a meaning-making machine. Nolan didn't call me back. He don't like me anymore. My mom looked at me that way. What does that mean? The grocery prices are going up. There's less food in HEB, right? What does that mean? It's constantly doing that. It's looking at sensory data. It's getting in information, ears, smell, eyes, and then it's putting it into boxes. And what it's doing is it's putting into the boxes of the reality we've had in the past. And if you're okay with what you've had in the past, then great. But if that's not okay with you, if you're interested in creating a reality that aligns with who you say you are, as a matter of your word, by the way, as a matter of like the future you want to create, then you need to create the meaning and chase after the default.
So I got a bunch of people that's saying, hey. I got a very new friend of mine, Maya. I was just on her podcast. She said she really likes this. I have some people just saying, hey, like Sherry Curran, Diane. I got Catherine Pierce. I got David James. What's going on, David? You got people, everybody, it's a bunch of people wishing me happy birthday. Thank you all so much. Willie Adolph, hey, what's going on? People are saying, take every thought captive. People are saying great information. Yes, creating your reality. Kerry Clark, big shout out, Justice League. It says, absolutely, it is our perception which creates our reality. Catherine Pierce is saying, behave like Jesus. Candace Joseph, what's up, Candace? She says, yes, love it, and we create our response. So people are, really just kind of chiming in, tuning in, giving their feedback. So, for the people that are here right now, share this video, share it. It's a lot of people that really need to hear this information. So on what we were going to talk about today is fear is primal. So explain that a little bit.
So the way the brain is wired, and it's perfect, right? If you think about in caveman times, right? Prehistoric man, the brain was given to us to protect us to survive because there were saber-toothed tigers and like volcanoes and rocks falling on us, right? That's right. Not happening today. Today, what makes our heart beat fast and what makes our palms sweat, right, is not some saber-toothed tiger. It's the unknown. Totally is the unknown, right? Right. And so our brain equates fear, like someone's got a gun to your head, like it's death. I kid you not. The brain, the heart beats fast because the brain's telling the heart what to do. The adrenal glands react. The immune system becomes weak. Remember we talked yesterday about the fight or flight center is activated because today our brain equates death with the unknown. So is there a little bit of unknown? Yes, right?
Absolutely.
Like daily. That's why us doing this over 30 days is so important, because we're not talking about something that, we can decide next week. We just put it off. We'll just send an email and we'll think about it. This is happening every day. Every time you turn on the news, every time you turn on the news, excuse me, as everybody else, I'm working at home. As we turn on the news and we decide what we allow into the 6 inches between our ears.
Right.
This is a moment to moment battle right now. And I promise you, there is muscle memory that you are developing today, that when this is over, you will know yourself differently. I look at trauma survivors, Nolan, and they have this amazing ability. Amazing, right? I help veterans. I help people that have gone through some horrific things. And you think about, again, we've started with the Holocaust survivors. And if you meet the Holocaust survivors, those that are alive today, and you talk to them, and I've had the privilege to talk to them because we have an amazing Holocaust museum here in San Antonio. We should broadcast pieces of the interview I have with her. But there's this mental muscle that got created when she saw that trauma. And if you put stress on that woman, she knows how to go back to that. What I'm trying to tell you, right now, we are defining who we are. And for the rest of your life, who you become and what you do, this will be a mental muscle. So after we come through this, Nolan, there is nothing that somebody can, I will be bulletproof, okay? There is, I don't know if we all get a chance to talk about the trauma in my family, murder, death, suicide, kidnapping. And I'll tell you what, when I went through that, there's nothing that you can give to me that I'm scared of, really, right? Like, what have I not seen? So those of you that have survived trauma, and trauma, please understand, you don't have to have some horrific, you don't have to be raped or, held at gunpoint. Trauma could be you didn't get called to the board in second grade. It was traumatic to you. But today what's happening is going to be something that will define you. And if you come through this, you will know yourself differently. And it is a mental muscle. It is a neuronal pathway, several actually, that will be created. And I want you to imagine the inside of a brain. And what we are doing right now are creating neurons. And in neuropsychology, what fires together wires together. So when you think about who I am, let's say these are dendrites, right? Inside the brain, you look at a neuron, it's the center of the center of the brain cell, and then there's these branches. And right now they're firing, okay? They're firing and they're wiring together. So if you think about, okay, trauma, or you think about what's happening, if you're wiring fear into your response system, it's wired. It is wired. If you wire right now that you will strive, that you are outside the box thinking, that you are servant, that you come to the call of people, right? Even if you are volunteering right now and it doesn't turn into money, fill your soul right now, because this experience, and I'm telling you, I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. I am not being paid, but I want to know myself as a servant. So when I come on the other end of this, I know who I am. And anything you throw at me, I know what I did. I know what I did. I know who I am. When the crap really hit the fan, can I say crap? Is that okay?
I mean, this is the internet. You can say whatever the hell you want to say. It's not a problem.
When the crap really hit the fan, did I go and hide under the table? Did I seclude to myself? So we are defining ourselves, had no mistake about it.
Right, and I get that. I get that. So Chase Stu says that's empowering, what you just said. Now, here's the thing. What if we're in a situation to where we come up against something that we've never seen before, like right now, and a lot of the people that we're around is kind of rubbing off on us, and you think in one way, but you really should be thinking another way, and you don't like the person that performed during these times right now.
Yeah.
It can be a situation, and I'm literally asking, can it be a situation that you surround yourself with other people for those other things to rub off on you, and now that showed you the ugly side of you, that you can now change it on purpose? Is that something, or if I just made the mistakes during these couple of months, I am going to hell and not pass go and collect $200?
No. It's a moment-to-moment battle. The great thing is that you can change at any moment. Right now, just by listening to this conversation, there's a shift in your thinking. You can't help it.
Right.
You're taking the information and you're sorting it into boxes, right? Now, some of it may not align with what you've heard in the past. So there's a part of you that actually in the amygdala, it sits there for a split second almost, and then you decide whether to keep it or discard it. But have no doubt about it, you are changing your thinking. But, and Nolan, one of the, and I know it's like 6:15, and I almost don't want to get into this, but I feel like you're wanting me to. Remember, we talked about the Socratic method of questioning your thoughts, right? And ultimately, there's a 5-step process. And then the last step is really powerful. And we touched on it yesterday. But one of the things you want to do is, as information comes into you, and we will cover this more, what I can do, Nolan, is I can send it to you as a PDF so we can put it out there.
Sure.
Step 1, step 2, step 3. But the first thing you want to do, and this is like all stuff that I am publishing right now, so I want you all to share it.
Before you say that, I just want my people to realize, where else can you get a Facebook Live and PDFs and worksheets that's going to be in a book that's not even published yet? Only right here. Only right here.
I'm a shout out to my publisher. This dude has like written me a check and said, okay, I'm waiting for your book. And he calls me. But yeah, so Jim, this is for you. And I know you're not going to like this, but here we go. First thing.
So it's secret. We're going behind people's back. That makes it that much more exciting. Let's go, Sunita. What we got popping? Popping?
First of all, and we will spend more time on this because I'm going to cover it real quick. Again, it's 6:16. But most of the stuff that is stealing your joy right now, most of the stuff that's affecting you is not at the level of your conscious awareness. So what you think you can isolate, that's not even the battlefield. The battlefield is really at the level of subconsciousness. It is the stuff that you got programmed way before 5 and younger. Okay, that's what's running you today. But Sunita, what's happening is today, this has never happened before. You don't understand. The fear, the impulse of fear, that's primal. It's not about what's happening today. What is happening today is playing on deep-seated fears that you had way back when. So if you really want to get to the heart of this, you have to be able to look at the subconscious programming. Now, we'll talk about the conscious programming because that's easy. It's the subconscious programming that is not in language. See, we think in language. So the problem is the stuff that's running our programming is not in language. The way it shows up, it's a feeling. It's just like, I feel afraid, right? No. There is a thought running that, but it's so deep. Because the way the brain works, the brain works very efficiently. If you thought a thought and you've had a certain impulse, or you're running a paradigm and they're networks of ideas, if you've run them a long time and run them over and over, the brain says, I've got this. It stores it into long-term memory, which you can imagine if you could see this room I'm in, the consciousness of this room. Let's say we got, what do we got? We got 1,200 feet right down here, right? 1,200 feet. Your conscious awareness, I would tell you, is 5 feet or less. No, it's not even that. It's 1%, okay? So what's running you right now, especially because we're fear and it's primal, you're not even aware of.
Right.
And that's what steals us. That's the danger, right? So how do you bring that to conscious awareness so we can refute it? How do we language it? The first thing is to really allow your body to feel the emotion. So everything that's really subconscious is not at the level of your awareness. It's not in language. What it's happened is the brain has translated into emotion, because language takes time. I'm afraid. So basic limiting belief is I'm not good enough. So it's not in language anymore. It's just this feeling of I'm not good enough. It's actually this feeling of, and it feels like running, or I'm not good enough feels like I'm small. It just feels a certain way. That's the one you want to be afraid of. The reason is because you're not aware of it. It's a feeling. So you got to isolate the feeling. Now, the next step, let it be there. The reason it is because your emotions are an indicator. They're a gift to you from an amazing creator that loves us. And again, I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but mathematically, we know as scientists that there is an intelligent design. Something gave you emotions, so it could tell you that something is wrong or good, right? Your emotions also tell you, right? That you're in a good place. You feel love, you feel affinity, right? But anything that is not,
I was just about to say, Soma Tanvir said,
yes,
your positivity is contagious, and I so needed this today. So they feel like they're in a good place. That's what I was trying to get to. So that piggybacks off of what you're saying. So let's go.
Yeah. So the feeling that you want to isolate. So I don't want you to hold every thought captive, because some emotions are just good for you and they feel good. It's your natural state. Your natural state when you have an intelligent designer is joy, abundance, creativity. Like, the world is mine and I'm going to go get it done, right? Anything counter to that, lack, fear, inadequacy, jealousy, those are the emotions that are not your natural state. And those are the ones that you want to really isolate, right? Those are the ones that you want to identify. And the good thing is, Nolan, we don't have to think about all of our limiting thoughts. We just have to think about one or two, and the rest of them, because they're a network of ideas, when you start to destroy one, like we're going to do, they all start to fall apart, because they're what wires together, fires together. They're like a bunch of miserable people that, you know, misery loves company. So they've just tied together. So if you start to question one and you can take it apart, they'll all come down. But so step one, isolate the emotion. Step two, it will talk to you. Let it come over you. Give it a color if you have to. Give it a location on your body. When you give it a color and a location on your body, what you're doing is you're stepping outside of this. And we talked about this yesterday. We said if we can be mindful, we can look at a thought outside of us. It creates a space, and then we can look at it under a microscope, right? And then it becomes objective. We can be objective with it. It's not subjective anymore. So first thing is isolate the thought, isolate the emotion, give it a language, give it a color if you need to, so you can start to objectify it. It will talk to you. Now, this is a mental muscle. We were not trained to question our emotions. We were trained to question thoughts at the most, and most people don't even do that. But I am requesting, and I am telling you, that you can let your thoughts talk to you. Now, here's the thing. It's like in the language of a 5-year-old. Why? Because it got created before we were 5. It's very primal. It's from our beginning years. The reason is because as babies, you know, we're a blank slate, almost literally. We have some traits that we carry, that we inherit, but for the most part, how we feel about the world and how we think the world is with us is blank. We don't have any decisions yet. So these things got created as we were very young and interacting with the world for the first time. We know that we are hardwired, our emotional ability and our emotions are hardwired probably by the age of 2.5. So from 2.5 to 5 years old, that's like 10% of how our personality is going to be formed. So these thoughts are locked in, and these beliefs are locked in before the age of 5. If you allow it to talk to you, it will talk to you. And it is a mental muscle. You need to exercise it. At first, what I'm telling you is going to sound weird, because you're like, what does it have to say to me? What are you trying to say? And if you just let it be with you. Now, I'm not telling you to do years of psychotherapy. That's the thing I have against psychotherapy. Like, we're going to sit there for years, and we're going to identify where this got created. And no,
Right.
You don't have to do that.
Sunita's going to fix us in 10 minutes. So let's go, Sunita. Fix me in 10 minutes.
So what is the thought telling you? That's a second thing, right? What is it trying to tell you? It's language like a 5-year-old. Second thing, third thing. You're going to take it through the Socratic method. And this is all readily available. Dr. Robert Ellis, who taught us how to question thoughts. This is Socrates, right? But the question is it true? Is it true? And so you want to isolate the belief. So you just isolated the emotion. The emotion is the world is falling apart. And it's not even because a 5-year-old wouldn't say that. A 5-year-old would say, I'm in trouble, right? So that's the belief. Do you get how I took that down to its core belief? Okay. Right. So the 5-year-old says, I'm bad. I'm in trouble, some version of that. And that's a very common belief right now, is that I did something bad. So the question is it true? Right. And if you guys need help, we're going to be talking about this more and more, this method. The next question is it always true? Like if we got everybody in the world together and we said, is Nolan Davis bad? Would they agree? And if you could find that, no, not everybody would agree, that means that the thought is not totally certain.
Right.
Right? So it's not always true. That's the second part of this. The third question is, who would you be? Who would you be if you couldn't have this thought? And Nolan, I have machines in my office that I help people do this, but the foundation of neuroplasticity is rewiring the brain. We're about to rewire the brain. Just that question. Who would I be if I could not have this thought? And if I don't know if I could do this, this is going to be silly. Let me show you. Sorry. If you could imagine your thoughts are traveling a certain way, okay? There's an electrical impulse that's being traveled. And when you question it, it literally halts. It stops the thought in its tracks. And it's in the amygdala that we're doing this. You stop the thought in its tracks. And when you say, who would I be if I couldn't have this thought? If the thought's been traveling this way, okay, now we can even talk about energy medicine, right? There's an energy that your thought is releasing. Now, the minute you go, what about if I couldn't, it's a simple game. What about if I couldn't think this thought? It's a simple question, but it's so powerful. Because if I couldn't think the thought that I'm in trouble, that bad things are going to happen right now, what would I do if I could not think that thought? So this is what I actually did, right? What if I couldn't think the thought that this is going to destroy my business? This is the end. I might have to declare bankruptcy. I'm going to have to move. I'll have to sell my house. What if I couldn't think that thought? What would I do? You literally start to create possibilities for action that were not available. All of a sudden, things that you didn't notice, ways of acting are becoming available. And I promise you, this is what's defining those that will come out of this as winners and will excel versus those that will survive or crumble. It's being able to think past the knee-jerk reaction, past your programming. The challenge is to think as a designer, as a creator of your responses right now, like never, maybe never before in your life. Those of you that are trauma survivors, or I call them trauma thrivers, you understand this. Because when you were being taken advantage of, or you were having to come through the trauma, you chose, because you're sitting here with us, right? Because you're listening to this, you survived. So, and again, trauma can be a lot of things, right? But if you came through that, at some point, you redirected and you chose. And that's what I'm asking you to do again. So the next question is, who would I be if I couldn't think that thought? What kind of actions would I take? Then the last two questions, very important. Sorry, that's to tell me that I'm supposed to be on your call. It's an alarm. The last thought to this is, if none of these thoughts is totally certain, so we've already proven that the first thought that I had was that I'm not going to survive. This is going to devastate my business, or this is going to devastate my life. That thought isn't totally true. The other thought, this is going to help me to grow. Like, I'm going to come out of this bigger than I ever was before, which is what positive thinking says.
Right.
Now, can you prove that? No, let's be real. We don't know. We don't know with total certainty that I'm going to come out of this and I'm going to be the #1 psychotherapist or neurologist or neurotherapist. No, but if both of them are not going to pass the test of veracity, then which one aligns with the life I want to create? See, if you know anything with total certainty, we talked about this yesterday, then you're God. And, we need to have another conversation. So what do you know with total certainty? You don't. You don't know anything with total certainty. All you know is what really matters to you. This is why your values are really important. So you have to choose the thought, whether it's the positive or the opposite of it, that aligns with who you say you are in the life you want to create. It's a moment to moment. This is the creation process. This is the frontal lobe engaging with the amygdala and saying, okay, I get what you're thinking. This is my choice, and this is what I choose. Why? Because I say so. Because I say that this is what I want, and this is who I want to be. We will talk about this more, because now we're getting into it's 6:32 and my alarms are going off.
Okay.
Did you want to continue? Because we can. This is a very in-depth conversation. But I have created for you guys. You should have the crucial steps. Now, again, the last step is, if neither one of those thoughts pass the test of veracity, the negative version, or not the positive version, but the one that aligns with who you say you are. Because this is not about positive thinking. I'm not interested in you guys having an insight. I'm interested in you guys rewiring your brain and having a life that you love and creating it as a response. And it's a moment-to-moment choice.
And that's what we're trying to do right here at Up Social Network. All of my business owners and everybody, we literally are creating the mindset and the heart set at the same time. So when we talk about the think tanks, it's one thing to have the same mindset, and but if you have the same heart set, I feel as if it's a much better situation. I don't know who.
Kiss from my daughter.
I was just going to say, somebody just came and gave you a kiss. Yeah. That was the sweetest thing. By the way,
the science on mind body, the heart brain alignment is incredible. If you're interested, Dr. Robert Lorenzo, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Check that out, right? Like, Nolan and I are not telling you something that's not defended by good science.
Right. Well, a lot of people they just know me as a silly dude. So they don't know that you and I talk late at night for hours and we go back and forth on this and talk about what we read or whatever. But that's why I wanted to bring you to the forefront for my people, so we can literally live life on purpose, or the life that we want to live on purpose. If you could tell people how to contact you, because tomorrow I want to pick up exactly where we left off to break down how to do that by design and that level of thinking, because I feel like that needs to be a little bit more. So I love to pick up from right there. So tell people how to contact you.
So I am www.braincoachllc.com. Dr. Sunita Punjabi, or the Brain Coach, Dr. Sunita Trevino. Look that up. 210-884-1200. You can also send me text messages on that number. Believe it or not, I still look at that. Nolan, one last thing. You know, I'm involved in cause-driven companies. So a lot of the people I know on this call are business owners. Cause-driven companies are 600% more profitable than their S&P 500. 600%. Ladies and gentlemen, if you own a business, this is the time, if you've never thought it before, to find a cause, not a mission statement for your company. This is a time to find out what you stand for as an organization and get that out there. We'll talk more about cause-driven organizations and what those companies are doing to change the world. And this is our time to shine.
Hey, we're going to talk about the causes that we have, because I have a lot of people that we work together for some great causes. So, hey, Sunita, absolutely love you. This is what we're doing here at Up Social Network, a networking group like you've never seen before. Not only are we networking, but during this time, we're literally trying to build our people and give them exactly what they need to live their passion, to live their purpose, and to take their life to the next level. Hey, so until next time, love to live to love, and be well.